Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply. It's Superhuman Radio with your host, Kre-Alkalyn.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Hey, Dr. J, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
Good, good. I heard you put on some muscle by using Thrive for your post-workout protein powder. Is that true?
Yes, man, I actually have. Yeah, it's been pretty fun just within like the last 2 weeks.
Did you see the mem? I posted a meme this morning, and it's pretty cool, and it really is the truth. You know, I got into a discussion yesterday about who formulated Thrive, and I could not take credit for it. I said nature formulated Thrive. 4.6 million years of evolution produced the perfect protein food for humans in mother's milk. All I did was follow the blueprint.
Yep. And you know, it's kind of funny because guys have been noticing the last couple weeks just my strength and stuff going up. And of course, the first question is, all right, what are you working on?
Right, right.
I'm like, well, I'm done working. It's already out, man.
This is amazing stuff. I can't wait for people to try it. I can't wait. Yeah. So let's go back down memory lane for a second, back to the 80s, when you were a professional bodybuilder living in Venice, California, really the mecca of bodybuilding in the United States at that point in time. And there was an amazing phenomenon that took place, wasn't there?
You know, it is. And I think this is one of the stories, whenever I get talking to people about bodybuilding, everybody wants to know, hey, tell me about, you know, Gold's Gym, what happened back there? You know, if you remember the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, pumping iron days, those were in the 70s. And that's kind of when it started. But really, as you got into the 80s is when, you know, most of the guys that, and gals that we still remember, were part of that whole Gold's Gym thing. It was pretty cool.
It could be said that the 70s created the launch pad for what bodybuilding would become. But in the 80s is when the amazing amount of muscle that was added to the bodies really started to happen. The Dorian Yates phenomenons, Robbie Robinson phenomenons. I mean, you got Pete Grimkowski. I mean, these guys were stepping on stage at 250, 260, ripped to shreds, and it was like, oh my God, what happened just in 10 years? What happened?
Yeah, the beautiful physiques. And you know, for those of you who may not have heard of Gold's Gym, it was started by Joe Gold, where Gold's Gym came from. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of funny. I'm not quite sure the whole story, but he ended up selling that and starting World's Gym. Well, when I got there, Gold's was in its third location. This is the present location. It was just one building. And if you wanted to be successful in bodybuilding, you needed to come to Venice Beach, California, the Mecca, Gold's Gym. You know, that's where Joe Weider hung out, supposedly. Right. But that's where everybody came because, you know, the judges, you know, actors, producers, I mean, everything that had to do with anything, you know, really started at that Gold's Gym.
You know, there's lots of meccas for different sports, right? You know, if you want to be an MMA fighter, the place to live today is Las Vegas, Nevada. There's a lot of really great MMA fighting camps there. And Gold's Gym was like that back in the day. If you were serious about bodybuilding, and it didn't have to be to become a bodybuilder, you may have been a powerlifter, you were interested in strength. You could have been an aspiring actor. You know, who I interviewed one time many, many years ago for another radio show. I can't think of his name now. He's a very popular actor right now, super muscular, John Cena. John Cena, he lived in one of those, there were people that had houses that bodybuilders would live in for free while they trained. It was like a bodybuilding camp.
You know, and it was all within about a 2-mile radius because we all lived, you know, either in Venice Beach, or right around that area. Most of us couldn't afford Marina del Rey, which was kind of right next door at that time. So, you know, you either rented an apartment from somebody or you kind of had an efficiency. But everything went and revolved around the gym, the beach. I mean, it was all that. As a matter of fact, like, I think for the first 3 years, I didn't even know there was anything outside of that Gold's Gym area where I could walk. I didn't even know there was Los Angeles or even the state of California.
That's so funny. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you know something magical was going on there? Did you think to yourself, someday we're going to look back at this as an amazing time? Or were you just so caught up in training, the camaraderie, competing, that you didn't really realize that someday we would look back at that period of time?
I don't think I did. You know, when I moved out there, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I was kind of new in bodybuilding, coming from Ohio. And Steve Davis, who was competing, was for the America, said, let's go out to Venice, you know, and train for the summer. You know, I got memberships, I got jobs. Oh, okay, sounds good, you know. And again, I only knew, you know, the education of a bodybuilder, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was reading Muscle and Fitness. So all of that was Gold's Gym. So to me, you know, that's where it started. But when I got out there and really got into it, I became a part of it, and I never thought about, you know, what was going to happen tomorrow, let alone 10, 20, 30 years ago. It was just a way of life. You know, there was us, and we were normal, and then there was everybody else that just didn't fit in. And, you know, you saw when you actually kind of went outside the boundaries and went to the mall or something, then you could kind of see, wow, you know, I mean, I don't really fit in here. These people are different than me. So kind of, you know, like I said, stuck together, but really didn't think of anything, because it was just a way of life.
That exact phenomenon was discussed in the movie Pumping Iron, when they're all laying on the beach, and they're talking about some people that had nothing to do with training, just some people, and Arnold referred to them, and everybody referred to them as regular people. Well, you know, does he train? No, these are regular people. Like as though the bodybuilders were super people and everybody else was regular people.
And that's kind of how we felt. You know, we didn't treat them with disrespect, but to us, if you didn't develop your body, you were just kind of a normal person. You weren't a super person. That's what we were. You know, we weren't above you, but we were in a different grade, a different class of individuals. You know, we didn't, you know, we were athletes, but again, we didn't really think of ourselves as being athletes. It was just a way of life. I always tell athletes that, you know, bodybuilding is the only sport where there was no off season. I mean, it was a 365 day a year job, you know.
Right. I know. So do you really believe that the 1980s was the last golden era of bodybuilding?
I do. I mean, you know, I know that, you know, there's some things happening at Gold's Gym, and there's still a few of my old time friends down there. But let me tell you, you know, back then, Gold's Gym really catered to bodybuilding, because that's how it started. So it was right before the whole, I call it aerobic era. Yeah. You know, where
Frank Shorter started running. Everybody started running. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And they started using the sports clubs as a social place. Prior to that, I mean, it was old rusty weights and, you know, get out of our way. We're there to train. So when I went out there, that's really what it was about. But what I realized real early is that during the day, the normal people started to come into the gym. So all of us serious bodybuilders, we would get there at 4 a.m, and we would be done before the normal people came. And when we came back in the afternoon around 3-ish, again, there was nobody in there because they were all at work. We just got done at the beach, and we'd come back for our second workout. So we kind of all picked times where, you know, there was just us. And if a normal person were to come in, hopefully they'd stay out of our way, because, you know, you didn't want to get in the way if we were supersetting, or you tried to, you know, get in on our weights or something like that.
Now, there was another phenomenon that occurred. I mean, an amazing pool of talented bodybuilders all converged on Venice Beach at that point in time. And obviously that phenomenon was kind of like Arnold and that group were the poster children for, like, hey, come here, get big, get strong. So you had a lot of people from Ohio and different parts of the country moving there just because, like moving to Hollywood to become an actor, to be discovered. They were moving there to become bodybuilders, but they obviously there was a great bond and camaraderie, and there was a phenomenon that took place that you like to call the Breakfast Club. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was so cool because, growing up in Ohio, it was very cliquey. If you weren't somebody, you probably weren't going to associate with somebody at the gym. You needed to either be at a certain level, or you could only associate with amateur people at your level. When I went out there, right off the bat, as I started to train, and I built respect just by, training, not bothering anybody, I got to meet guys. And one of the cool thing is it didn't matter whether you were Samir Bannout, Mr. Olympia, or you were just me, just entering the scene. We all became friends, and that was what the cool thing is, there were no secrets. I remember Tom Platz, sitting down and telling me everything he ate. I could go to, Chris Dickerson, Frank Zane, all these guys. I mean, they were very open. There was no secrets. The secret was however you looked. I mean, whoever worked the hardest was going to win. Not like today where, everything is secretive, how you do things. So that was what I really appreciated. And the same, I shared with all the new guys what I did, what worked. And then, we all train together. You would kind of have a normal training partner, but, you'd come into the gym and Lyle Ozeta would be there, or Mike Christian, and, I'd go, hey, who's doing chest today? And the Barbarians would go, I'm doing chest. Come on, let's all do chest. And then there'd be 6 or 7 of us doing chest.
And you really feed off of that camaraderie. You train harder, you feel motivated when you have people around you like that, don't you?
And it did, it motivated me, but I know that, I also motivated them. I always tell the story once about I came in and my training partner and I were getting ready to do legs, and Tom Platz's training partner was out of town or something. And he said, hey, can I do legs with you guys? Oh, come on, Tom, let's go. Now, I knew that we had different training styles, but, of course, I'm going to outshow him. He's going to outshow me.
Right.
So we pop 135 up on there, and, Tom does it at about 200 reps. And, I do 15 just to warm up. Tom then goes to 225, and he pops out about 15, and he goes, are you going to jump that high? And I go, oh, no, I'm not going to go to 225. And he starts taking it off. He goes, what do you want, like a dime? I go, no, put 405 on there. He's like, Jeff,
so you went right from 135 to 405.
Yeah, but Tom, 135 is just to get the blood flowing. 405 is light. So I get under there, no D-wraps, and I pump out like 15, and I'm talking. I'm going, so you see, Tom, this is what I like to do. He's looking at me going, you're crazy. And, we continued on, but I just added 45 pounds, and I think I ended up like 800 pounds, and Tom, quit at 405. And we got done, and he was like, you know what, I ain't trading legs with you no more. And I go, good, because I'm not trading with you either.
That's hilarious. The Barbarian brothers were pretty interesting. I interviewed one of them. He became a professional photographer later on in life, and I interviewed one of them for another radio show. He had just done a coffee book, a coffee table book, and it was all from some of his best shots that he took of bodybuilders in different settings, and it was amazing. I mean, the guy is really, really talented. One of them is still out there. The other one, I think, kind of went off the deep end, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that's David. He's still out there doing his movies and stuff. And, those guys were very interesting because in the 70s, they started to get a lot of play in the magazines. Here they are with their overalls, their twins, their big, boots. And when I got out there, they trained like me. So, we kind of got to know each other real quick. Cause I didn't train in overalls, but, I wore flannel shirts. I'm from the Midwest,
right.
Wore boots when I squatted. So again, it was a lot of fun, training with those guys. And again, just some of the stories, it was hilarious. I probably got more stories than anything, but I remember one morning coming in, and David every morning would ask either me or Mike or Peter how he looked. Did he look big? And we stroked each other's egos. Well, the guy was huge, so I'd be like, David, you look huge. Come on, let's get on with the workout. Okay. And then he turned to his brother and go, Peter, do you think I look big? And Peter would mess with him and go, actually, David, you look a little small today. And he'd go, I'm leaving. I'm not training. And he'd leave.
That was it.
He had to go eat more.
I heard that those two guys were the biggest pranksters. They would play jokes on a lot of the other guys in the gym, and sometimes their pranks would end up in fist fights. I've heard. I mean, so they were really characters, real characters.
They were. There were a lot of fights. Them and Lyle Azedo used to get into a lot of wrestling matches and things. But it was just again part of that. So you had jokers like the Barbarian Brothers. You had Mike Christian, who was a little more. He was kind of a funny guy. Then you had Janice Reagan and Tanya Knight. Rachel McLeish was there. Larry Appella. As I said, Chris Dickinson, Robbie Robinson. I mean, all of the 70s guys who were kind of finishing up in the 80s and in all the 80s. I remember Vic Richards coming out there as a 18-year-old,
Wow.
just coming in and wanting to be part of the gang. And, we kind of said, come on in, man, hang out with us.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And,
we have to take a break, but what I want to do when we come back is I want to talk about the way you trained back then and the way bodybuilders train today. Did we learn more? Is it new technology that we're leveraging, or have we forgotten our roots? Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more of Dr. Jeff as we reminisce about the golden era of bodybuilding. Stay tuned. How to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolyn.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's getkarbolyn.com/CARBGUIDE. Prime Nutrition is proud to present Max HP, their most scientifically formulated pre-workout supplement to date. Now available in 2 great tasting flavors, tropic fruit and raspberry. Max HP is the most ultra premium pre-workout available and is made without any artificial colors, flavors, or dye. Increasing blood flow to heighten anabolic activity, Max HP is designed to meet the heightened metabolic needs of high-performance athletes. Visit PrimeNutrition.com and use coupon code SuperhumanRadio to receive 20% off of your entire order. Go to PrimeNutrition.com today.
If you take curcumin, you need to pay attention. The best curcumin on earth is metacurcumin. Metacurcumin is up to 277 times more bioavailable and absorbs over 6 times faster than standard curcumin supplements. Metacurcumin even outperforms those supposedly high-performance curcumin products. There's only one metacurcumin by Rev Genetics. You could save 20% off metacurcumin by clicking the banner ad at superhumanradio.com and use superhuman curcumin at checkout. If you want to help stop inflammation in its tracks, you need metacurcumin by Rev Genetics today.
Hey, this is Carl. Start your day just like I do with a high-dose lipospheric vitamin C from Live On Labs. You too can benefit from Live On Labs' lipospheric delivery system. No more pills or powders. That's outdated technology. Live On Labs has the world's most efficient vitamin delivery system, period. Learn a lot more today at liveonlabs.com and benefit from their new reduced pricing. That's liveonlabs.com, Livon labs.com.
AnabolicMinds.com is the premier website for credible information on building muscle, burning fat, supplementation, and more. With over 100,000 active registered members and over 2.5 million posts, it's one of the largest communities on the internet to get help and answers to your questions. It's also the place that the official Superhuman Radio Forum is hosted. Visit AnabolicMinds.com today and get into the action. AnabolicMinds.com. Learn, teach, lead.
Too much on your mind to fall asleep? Oh, no. It happens to all of us every now and then. Instead of counting sheep, count Sleep Factors, a naturopathic formulated blend that supports falling asleep naturally. No medicated numbing, no harsh interruptions of your body's natural flow. Sleep Factors work in harmony with your body and its natural rhythms, so sleep just happens naturally. Sleep Factors by Michael's Naturopathic Programs. You can find Sleep Factors and Michael's entire line of body-loving naturopathic formulations at your local health food store or online at michaelshealth.com. Practitioner formulated, practitioner approved.
Ever feel like like you want something crunchy? From the company that gave us the Quest protein bar, now comes the Quest high protein potato chips with 21 grams of high quality protein and only 5 grams of carbs and no artificial ingredients. Just like Quest bars, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Quest high protein potato chip banner ad today and get ready to be satisfied. Thanks to Quest Nutrition, chips just aren't what they used to be.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Ladies and gentlemen, right about now, let's get ready to rumble still.
Welcome back. Wu-Tang, the Wu-Tang Clan, baby. Oh, dirty bastard. ODB. Rest in peace. Okay, so we're talking with Dr. Jeff today. We're really reminiscing, going down memory lane, talking about the 80s at Venice Beach, really still to this day the mecca of bodybuilding. And so, what do you think, Dr. J? When you look at the way you guys trained and the results you got, and you look at the athletes today, and there's some monsters today. I mean, you look at guys like Kai Green. I mean, these guys have really pushed the envelope of attainable muscle. Do you think the style of training back then is different than today, or is there something else going on?
You know, guys like Kai Green, Ronnie Coleman, they trained how we used to train.
Interesting.
And the best way to describe it is intense. I mean, there was no conversations. There was no messing around. We'd mess around, before we got started and then later on. But during the workout, no. You were respectful. When somebody was squatting, you wouldn't go take their squat rack when they went to get a drink. But if you left that gym on a leg day and then you had no business training with us, because you better be crawling out. I mean, that's how intense and how hard we trained. And we didn't have all the supplements and things that they have today. So, I mean, we were training on, raw intestinal fortitude. I mean, power.
Right.
To get to those type of workouts. There was no, Kre-Alkalyn and, creatines and things. I mean, it was, my pre-workout was 2 pieces of sourdough toast with a banana spread on it. And that's what got me through a workout.
Wow.
Coffee.
Yeah, okay. So there was no pre-workout supplements back then at all, huh?
No, we had the old the caffeine pills and things that you wouldn't use all the time, because they're just too strong. And again, you didn't want to be tired the rest of the day because you had to come back and train again. You had to go pose. You had something to do. So we didn't use a lot of that kind of stuff. It was most of us all drank coffee. And then we hit the gym, really not much in the stomach, and you just went after it. But again, I think that's what makes the difference between a champion and somebody who does it for fun. Is today I see people in the gym and they're talking, they're walking around between sets. There was no rest. You did one set, your training partner jumped on. Right after that, you were there. You didn't even have time to rest.
Right.
When it was time for a drink, then we'd go over and get a drink of water, but we'd come right back.
Right.
You wouldn't get on your cell phone in between a workout or none of that kind of garbage.
I saw a guy doing leg presses the other day, and he was on his phone, and he was either texting or posting in social media, but he's doing reps, and he's looking at his phone, and he's typing away. And my attitude is, if you can do reps and be on your phone at the same time, you're not training hard enough.
No, and if you wanted to take a picture of us, you better go to the balcony. Don't come out there if it wasn't a scheduled photo shoot, because again, you're going to disrupt training.
Right.
Again, the concentration, if you would have seen our faces, I mean, you would have thought we were angry all the time, but that's intensity. Tom Platz used to preach that when you get to that point in an exercise that you want to quit, where most people go to 10 and then that's when you actually start. When the lactic acid builds up, it's what happens after that. So, we were fighting through those pain barriers. And you've seen a lot of videos with Arnold. I mean, just going to failure. I mean, that's how we trained day in and day out. There was no such thing as an off season. 3 days on, 1 day off, and it would start all over again. Wouldn't matter whether it was a bulking stage, pre-contest, contest. The intensity level was like that, like I said, all year long, and everyone was that way.
You know, it's funny because I believe that same thing. I think of it as equity. So if you're at your 10th or 12th rep in something and now your muscles are burning and everything in your body is telling you you're done, that is when the real progress can happen. That's like stopping then is like paying your mortgage right up to the last payment and then defaulting and walking away from all that equity. You have equity in that movement when the pain starts. And I don't mean elbow pain. I don't mean joint pain. I mean the muscles are burning. Lactate is building up. Your brain is telling you, we don't want to do this. It hurts. And pushing through it, that's the equity in the movement. That's when the real work starts, those last couple reps.
Absolutely. And we got stronger as we got closer to walking on stage. You know, there was none of this, out of energy and I'm on a diet. Who cared? Dieting just meant you were in contest mode. So we would say, are you dieting? And all that would mean is, okay, we gave up dairy, and we're in contest prep. But the other thing that we realized was the importance of sleep and food. I mean, we would go down to the beach and we would sleep. And obviously, we all had kind of part-time jobs here and there, work nights, just to get by on. But, I made sure I got a minimum of 8 hours a day, sleep.
Right.
And then food was by the schedule. I mean, I would not miss 1 minute. I don't care where I was at.
Right.
I remember a couple of times being out at Disneyland and, having to sneak food in because I had to eat it. That's how all of us were. I mean, food, sleep, rest, training. I mean, it all worked together. It's more than just training to put on muscle.
Yeah, it's and really at the end of the day, what you described is complete discipline. Do you still keep in touch with some of the people from back then?
Oh yeah, we were still in touch. It's kind of funny, Rick Valenti and Mike Aparo and Charles Glass are the last of the old timers that are still, independent trainers down there at Gold's Gym. And God bless them because, they've been doing that for so many years. And whenever we talk, it's always about the old days. Nobody really talks about what we're doing now. We like reminiscing. It was just a great time. If you talk to anyone who was there, I was talking with Mike Christian the other day, and the first thing is, man, we had some fun, didn't we? Oh man, those were the days. I mean, just training and living, that was really living the dream.
I would,
if there was such a thing.
I would love to be able to grab a camera and fly with you back there, arrange to have all those people who were at those Breakfast Club meetings sit down at a table somewhere, grab a bite to eat, and just tape all the stories that everybody has. I mean, that would be so cool. We should think about doing that.
That would be fun because I know whenever I run into somebody, it was kind of funny. A few years ago, James DeMello was another big bodybuilder from there. I hadn't seen him in years, and he came out and stayed at my house, and he's now a minister. So my wife thought we'd be talking about, his ministry. She goes, for 3 days, all you guys did was talk about the old days. Solid. And it was
That's hilarious.
Really? But, I run into Tom Platz. We don't go, how's it going? Hey, remember when, just start reminiscing. But, it would be fun. I think
we should plan on doing that. We should really plan on doing that this year sometime, maybe.
Yeah.
We have to look into it. All right, listen. It's been great walking down memory lane, and one thing is for sure, to be a bodybuilder, you have to have great discipline. It's not a sport for the timid or weak of heart. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little different on the show. And as you know, you can always contact Dr. Jeff on Facebook. Go to Superhuman Radio, ask questions. Anything I can do to help out, that's what I'm there for.
And don't forget, he's Supplement Santa. I just saw a picture somebody sent about you, about a big box that they got from you with all sorts of good stuff. So don't forget, Dr. Jeff is Supplement Santa. All right.
And one thing I wanted to tell you real quick is I've got a bunch of leftover product from football season. So again, people are actually getting live bottles now. So
dude. So there you go. Go to Ask the Scientist on superhumanradio.com and ask Dr. Jeff for something free. Listen, we'll see you next week, brother.